Hello guys, Patrick here, Eggnoc Poker, and we are on today's part 2 of Mr. Houli's, or Houlichan even, of his session. So we're going to be getting our backseat on and moving straight into the second part. So we've already started. Ace King, I think we're mostly 3-betting. We can absolutely do some flatting though. I think we're flatting here maybe 25% of the time, 30% of the time on the big blind against UTG to defend that range. Against a recreational, I like just making it bigger. Let's get more money in against Ace Queen, Ace Jack, Ace 10, King Queen, whatever. Ace Jack, I think we're 3-betting or folding. Yep, table 2, nice. So on this type of board texture, I'm not super thrilled with this situation. I think if I was going to be in a spot like this, I would prefer to have a jack. I'd prefer to have a heart in my hand, I think, if I was going to be betting. Although, to be fair, against a recreational, I suppose that goes out the window when we're thinking about like sort of logical ranges, doesn't it? So I think I could probably go ahead and bet a bigger size or check. I think I prefer check though without a heart, but I think both are probably fine. Like, we're going to have the best hand here a decent amount of the time, so we don't need to always bet. Plus, we don't have a backdoor heart draw to make life a little bit easier on turns and rivers. Because we've bet the 6, so with the 6 pairing, that makes it less likely that he's got a hand like pocket 6s or 5-6 suited. That's always good. I suppose it makes it a little bit more likely that this guy's range is more condensed now to like flush draws, kind of like medium-ish pocket pairs, some 10x. Like, it's going to be really hard to make those fold, and we're using a hand that is probably just ahead most of the time. I think I'd prefer betting if we had the ace of hearts in our hand. But because we've bet, I think I would prefer to bet again. And if we were betting, I think we would bet big here, because we need to put, now that you've bet, I wouldn't check back. I would bet and put pressure on like 7s and 8s, put pressure on like ace 5 suited, put massive, get value from the flush draws, which you still can, and then check back the river. Just put massive pressure on those middling hands. You're not going to make a 10 fold, for example. So, we've got a hand that's very high up on showdown and has no heart in it, for example. So I would probably be leaning towards either betting small or checking on the flop, and then checking back this combo without a heart. But exploitatively, I actually kind of like just betting really big. Like, fuck them. They just fold so much on turns. It's up to you, but I think this combo would mainly be checking back. And then the ace king on the flop, I think we could probably do anything. I think you could probably bet small, you could probably bet medium, you could probably check some of the time. I think we're mostly betting though, table 1. And then as played on table 2, I mean, this is a bit of, I don't think this is an awful lead. He's leading over there, isn't he? I think this because this guy's a recreation, he's probably just leading a flush, right? Something like that, maybe a 6 and a, no, he would have raised a 6. This guy just looks like a flush. I don't think we should ever be turning a hand into a bluff here. Maybe if you had the ace of hearts, you might consider it, but I think we're probably just folding this on table 2. Table 1, I like the size. We can start getting some value, some pseudo value. We can start getting some potential fold equity from some sort of medium hands, but I think we are going to be mostly continuing with the ace king. Or I think the combo, if I'm right, I think the combos with like the ace of diamonds specifically, and sometimes the king of diamonds, I think want to check more, so they can potentially use their showdown value, and then if it goes check, check, check river and facing bet, they can sometimes bluff, like, using like the diamond blocker, for example. I think the hands that have combos of like ace king, ace queen, ace king, ace jack, or whatnot without the diamond, I believe they're more aggressive. I think because they want to basically just keep going for it, and you just basically saying, look, I've rolled high, I'm going to consistently bet with this combo. I'm going to put a lot of pressure on a lot of sort of like medium, weak to medium hands. Whereas the other combos are a little bit more valuable with a diamond and kind of want to realize showdown and potentially river bluff, I believe. As played, I think we're just checking ace king. We're probably just good against a lot of hands. This guy's got hands like he's going to probably do some bluffing with some like weaker and marginal flush draws, but primarily just check back. Like, we're just hoping he just checks back a hand like ace jack of diamonds, ace 10 of diamonds, king jack of diamonds, something like that. That's what we're kind of looking for, I suppose. King queen, I'd be primarily 3-betting. I suppose there's a very small amount of calling something like 5%, 10% maybe. Primarily 3-betting though. Although again, you've got a recreational, so I don't hate calling here either, I suppose, but we are primarily 3-betting. What happened with our ace 8 suited on table 1? I would be opening this or 3-betting. Yeah. So I wouldn't be folding this. I mean, I would, especially in the later positions versus recreational. So this guy's we've only got 20 hands, but he's a 43, 21, 17. But again, it's a very small sample. I think this hand's a little bit too good to be throwing away at this stake. So I'd be using this as sometimes a call, but mostly a 3-bet. Excuse me. And then versing the cold 4, it's an easy fold here with the king queen. I don't think there's anything else to say. Maybe button on big blind, we might do some shenanigans like in a 3-bet spot, but cold 4 from the big blind, we're just pitching. We do want to start respecting 4-bets a bit more at this stake. I think like 10 and now 16, 25, 4-bets are still very value heavy unless you have any kind of information, but it takes a lot of information to realize if it's any different. But generally people are still very tight overall. Excuse me. Easy fold, 9-5, and the 5-4, and the deuce, the king deuce. Could open the ace-4 if we want to. I think we should. I think all aces above. I think it's ace deuce is the only hand we don't open on the button in the small blind, I believe. Queen 7 be an easy pitch, easy open with the ace 10. Facing defend with the 3-3-6. So generally on paired boards we do bet a bit bigger or check. However, button on big blind's a little bit of a different dynamic. Big blind's going to have quite a lot of 3x and more of a range that can put some scary pressure on us. Yeah, we've got more overpairs, but it's not like we're raising under the gun. We're opening on the button, so our range is still very wide. So I'd like to see some smaller mixed betting or checking. I think both would be completely fine. Again, we've got no RNG, so we can't really use a generator to determine our action. So that might be something to think about getting. Stars Caption's a good one. I think you can... Is it Trojan? There's a purple one you can get. I can't remember. Yeah, this size is fine. The reason you bet small overall on the small boards in these positions, I believe, is because, again, like the times he just... Even if we have an advantage with overpairs, that doesn't make any sense. Because if we bet big with aces, the times he just continues with a hand like 3x, he can put massive pressure on us and get a lot of value from us. So I think we have to be a little bit careful. The size is nice, though. Yeah, I like it. Easy fold with 7-6. Easy fold with the 8 deuce. Folding, 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 folding. Pocket 10s, lovely. And ace 10. A couple of easy opens. So table 1, we do want to be, I suppose you could do a couple of different strategies. I think, again, mainly exploitatively, I think 25... This guy's an unknown. How many hands do we have on this guy? 10, yeah. He's an unknown with only 10 hands. Like, I think against unknowns in position, like against the big blind here, we've got a pretty good sort of nut advantage. Like, he's going to have king 10, he's going to have 6s, he's going to have pocket 10s. But then we're going to have way more hands like ace king more often. We're going to have hands like pocket kings. We're going to have hands like pocket aces. We're going to have loads of like suited nut flush draws and backdoor nut flush draws. We've got loads of good hands with loads of playability. So we are doing pretty well. I think you could probably do a lot of sizes. Up to and including big. I think with this exact combo, like you can bet and play turns and get raised and continue, or you can just check back. This is a really nice combo. You've got backdoor clubs to pretend, you've got backdoor spades direct, you've got middle pair. This hand is just ahead a lot of the time. So I wouldn't mind it. I think at 25 you could probably still just get away with value betting, or if you wanted to bet range on the king 10 board, I think it's probably both are probably fine. And then having some protected checks is also really good as well. Obviously, we don't generate huge amounts of massive value with second pair. We want to make sure we've got a lot of decent checks as well. So I think all sizes are fine. I think all options are fine. Versus check back, I know we would probably be checking back a lot in theory. I think at this level, I'd probably just be betting. Yes, villain has more 6x than us. Yes, we don't have like a huge hand and we can prioritize some king x and other hands to bet with. I think I probably would have gone for a little bit of thin value here just because it's 25 and, you know, I don't think people have enough turn check raises at all, or even just any check raises. So I probably would have just bet myself and then gone from there. But checking is completely fine and probably preferred. You have to go for some river. Again, it's quite thin. because it's gone check turn. But I think you probably have to go some value on this river, especially with the ace of spades in your hand. So I would bet here something around sort of maybe 60%. Try and target a worse 10, pocket eights, something like that. I would assume maybe you could probably go small here as well. I think both are probably okay. I think checking is a bit too weak. I don't hate really small, but I would be careful that you don't encourage your villain to bin you. Although I think it's probably all right at 25, but just be careful. Like, are you really balancing that with your hands like aces? Are you really balancing that with a hand like the king, queen of spades? If you are, fine. But if you're not, just keep an eye on it for something to think about in the long run. Having those sort of micro bets is great. You got called by sevens. Yeah, nice. Yes. Showed it because you want to look like a hero. Well done. Yes. Good bet. I give you credit. Well played, sir. You also probably got more value than me because I would have bet slightly bigger and you would have folded. So I take my hat off to you, sir. I'd be pitching the ace deuce table 2. I think it's a bit wide. I mean, you got a recreational actually, so nah, fuck it. I'd be opening that. I think against a rec, maybe like sort of 2.5x. Ah, perfect. You've made it a little bit smaller because you've identified he's got a smaller stack. I like that a lot. Really good job. Really good thing to be identifying. Don't have to open as big if your villain's got a short stack. Yep, nice and easy folds. Fold. Queen 3 is going to be easy pitch, as is the 5-3 and the queen 5 off. One thing to say is I know that you want to be folding your hand if anyone bets, and also speed is key, right? We can auto fold and save ourselves a second or two and move to the next one. Be careful though, because if this guy limps, whether it's a protected limp or whether whether it's a protected or whether it's just anything, when you snap check back as in auto against any villain, they know that you're capped as well as that, even if they're trapping or not trapping it, regardless, they know that you're capped by auto checking back. So just be careful. Like it's the difference between half a second to make sure you just sort of, look at the spot and then check it back or want to do any deviations instead of just auto check folding. Like this, for example, it's just, he knows that you're auto folding as well, which gives him a little bit more incentive, I suppose, in the long run to attack you, but that's somewhat less relevant. But it's just the fact that when you do play post flop against a limp, protected or not, they know that you're capped. Okay, so just keep an eye out for it. It's not the end of the world, but it's just something to think about. Nice easy open Queen Jack, as is the Ace 9. I believe the worst cutoff opens are like Ace 7, Ace 5 at some frequency with the Ace X offsuits. Again, with the cutoff, I suppose I don't mind any size at this board. We've got really nice backdoors, straights, overs, backdoor flush, etc. Probably be doing a lot of turn betting now. I think a nice, decent, heavy size. Get some, if you were theoretically value betting some King X and some traps and some overbets and slow played hands, you'd be betting big now to get some value. This is a nice hand to bluff with. We've got good blockers. We can bluff some diamonds. We can rep a king. We can do a lot of stuff, right? So yeah, I like it a lot. I think we should be 3-betting a table 2. Very nice. Yeah, very well played, both hands. Good job. Easy fold, Ace 3. And 9-4. Fold. Pocket queens, let's play that one. As the pocket 10s as well. 2 very good hands. Hoping the short stack goes all in, that would be lovely. Easy 3-bet with 10s. So at this level, like sometimes I'm in like the 2 and L streets and the challenge where I'm like, oh, okay, I want to be calling here. We've identified a recreational table 2, but like, and if you had a massive like fish behind or whale behind, I might call sometimes exploitatively. But again, it's just like pocket 10s in a slightly better pull. I'd be looking to 3-bet just purely for value and to isolate. Like that's a little bit more advantageous when you've got like a regular player behind. I mean, this guy's 35-30 with 40 hands. It's a very small sample, isn't it? So it's not much to say, but I think I would just be 3-betting. I suppose you could, in theory, have calls, like theoretically, but the rake's too high to be calling. You only should be calling if you're doing exploitatively to keep other players in behind you rather than trap them, in my opinion. Let's have a look here. What happens with the... We should be opening the king 9. Let's see what happens with the 10s if we get a call or whatever from this guy on the right. Ooh, we get a nice cold 4-bet. So, viewers at home, what do you think we're doing with our pocket 10s? So, we shouldn't ever really be folding. I don't think, especially one to this size. I mean, yeah, it's a good size. But in this dynamic, the question is, do we want to shove or do we want to call? It's interesting because against a 35-30, even with 40 hands, he's got 26% 3-bet. He just looks aggressive, looks kind of like whaley aggressive, but it's a small sample, isn't it? I wouldn't hate shove because it's blind on blind. However, it's not a blind on blind heads up dynamic. If this was like open 3-bet, 4-bet, whatever, you just kind of stick it in against each other 100 bigs, right? That's what you kind of do, heads up. But because you're button small blind, big blind with a cold 4, it's a little bit stronger. So I'd probably suggest not shoving, and I don't think I would fold, especially against this player type. I think I would probably just call. I think that would be the best option in this scenario. Let's have a look. So if we're debating jam or folding, I would just call. I think calling's probably the best thing to do. If you know this guy's an absolute death maniac with a massive history, then maybe we can get it in, or maybe we can sort of stack off wider. But I think calling's probably the best. Easy, nice 3-bet here with the ace-king suited. So with the hands like pocket 10s, I know you're in a 4-bet scenario, so... Thing with calling these types of hands, when you face overcards like the ace, the king, and the queen, and you've got hands like pocket 10s, and you've got hands like pocket 9s, pocket jacks, pocket 8s, without flopping a set, I mean, so just in general. So we've got pocket 10s here, pocket jacks, pocket 8s, sorry, those are the type of hands I'm saying, I suppose, in this exact scenario. The villain's size primarily dictates your action. So if villain continues for, say, like a third or half in this 4-bet pot, I would almost always be folding. And then even if they bet like 25%, I'd probably still be folding a lot. And that's more theoretical because it's just against a good opponent or even just an aggressive whaley opponent, you're just going to struggle to... This is the same as the hand we looked at earlier with the 4s. It's just, we have a good hand, but against a value range, we're not doing very well. 9s has improved. Queens obviously had us dead anyway. Ace, queen, king, queen, whatever have now improved. Yeah, he's going to have a bunch of hands like king, jack, king 10, ace 5 suited that we beat. But what I'm saying is you should expect multiple barrels at like... This is 25 and L plus, right? So if people actually do have some sort of linear 4-bet hands that aren't just like aces, kings, queens, ace, king, for example, they are probably going to be good enough to be doing single, double, and triple barrel bluffs as well, right? More often. So a hand like 10s, yeah, you could say, oh, I pick up a jack on the turn, or I pick up an 8 on the turn, I might be able to hit a set. Even if you hit a set, you're still losing to queens, which is value. You're still losing to a hand like king, jack, which is absolutely potentially in there. Hitting a 10... doesn't mean you even have the nuts, right? So you could hit a 6 or an 8 for equity, but you could still just be behind. So I would probably be folding mostly on the flop. That's quite a long explanation. I apologize for that. But just saying, don't get yourself in situations, this is the guys that are looking at home, just don't call this down. That's the only thing I don't really want to see. Depending on what this guy's sizing here. If he goes 10%, 15%, 20%, whatever we're calling, I think 25% and above, we're mostly folding. Maybe a pinch of call, maybe, a tiny amount. So this is 25%. I don't know. I think I'd still mostly fold, and I would think theoretically you would do a lot of folding as well. Exploitatively, maybe you could peel the flop and just hope he gives up on turn, but that's not a very good strategy in the long run. Ace is obviously a terrible card. If he was bluffing, he's going to keep bluffing on this card. Also, he's just going to hit this card a lot. Ace X is going to be a large part of his range. Versus the second ace, I suppose pocket 10s can do nothing else than check. I mean, hoping he checks back like 8s, hoping he checks back just like king, jack of clubs, king 10 of clubs. That may wanted to check back and realize... and then check back the river, thinking we're probably not going to fold, like a queen or an ace or whatever we get here with. Please don't lead. I don't think leading's that great, and we're just going to be check folding. If there was a combo. Let's see if he bets first. I don't know. Hopefully he just checks back and we win, or maybe lose to jacks. Or maybe on a full moon he just has like king, queen and nit rolls us a bit. He's tanking. Really interesting. And he jams. Interesting. Really interesting. It makes me want to feel like he's bluffing, but at the same time, it's like most of his bluffs continue bluffing the turn. Most of his bluffs have improved on the turn, and obviously the river doesn't change anything else. So it's like if he had king jack or king 10 that wanted to bluff for whatever reason, it probably would have done so on the turn. The only combo he may not have bluffed is something like 10 jack of clubs. If he 4-bets that, probably not often. Does he have king jack or king 10 of clubs? Does he linear 4-bet? You don't really know with that sample. If he had ace king, does he really check back the turn? Maybe he's scared of queens ace queen. But then again, it's kind of like, maybe. His value here is 9s, but that probably wouldn't have checked the turn. Same with queens, it probably wouldn't have checked back the turn. He doesn't do this with jacks, obviously. He doesn't turn the other 2 10s into a bluff, I don't suppose. I would think you're folding this just all the time, and then you just have like queen x and better to call with. You have pocket 9s, you have pocket 7s, you have like king queen, you have loads of ace x, for example. I think 10s to a jam is probably a fold. I think your exact combo probably could call some of the time, because you do block ace 10 of diamonds, I suppose. You block ace 10 of hearts, but we still just lose to a lot of hands, and most of his bluffs kind of improved. Maybe he just nit rolls us with like ace jack, ace king. Maybe it just checked the turn and then just jam the river thinking it's good against check check. Maybe trying to get stacked king queen. I'd fold here. I think we've got better to call with. If you were going to call, I wouldn't fault calling this exact combo, but it's like, do we want to make this call at 25? I'm up and down. I think I'd probably would have folded. Easy fold the 4-3. King 8 suited. Yeah, we'd be folding. I think exploitatively, if you know the guy's overfolding the 3-bet, you could have potentially 3-bet. But again, theoretically, we'd be folding. Excuse me, 10-6 suit's not the best hand. Against a min-open, I might have defended. I think against a 2.5, whatever. Excuse me, I've got the hiccups. I think I'd be folding. Easy folds all round. Yes, yes, yes. Nice and easy. That's my favourite hand in the world. Jack 10 of spades. Don't you dare fold that. That's the best hand ever. Quick disclaimer though, and it's going to make a lot of you real sad. There's a lot of hands like Queen Jack suited, Queen 10 suited, Jack 10 suited, 9 10 suited do a lot of opening and folding to 3-bets. Unfortunately, they just do not play super well. In 3-bet pots, a lot of the time when you open them early position and get 3-bet against a correct range. So you should actually be folding quite a lot, unfortunately. Anyway, so yep, 3-betting the ace 10. I like that. This is a bit more of an aggressive recreational. What happened here with the Queen Jacks? We opened Queen Jack and got to defend from the big blind. We do have, I suppose in the hijack, we do have 8-9 suited, 9-10 suited, Jack 9 suited, pocket 9s, ace 9 suited, king 9 suited, queen 9 suited. We actually do have quite a lot of decent 9x here. Villain's going to have some more hands, I suppose, like 9-6 suited. That's probably about it, but we're doing pretty well overall. I suppose I have 9-7 suited as well, but we have loads of other overpairs that they don't. We're doing pretty well here. I think I'd bet a bit bigger or check. That's probably what I would do. Like half pot here, 3/4, something like that, I think. I don't hate small, and you probably could do small some of the time. I think just on paired boards in general, that are like 9x, 10x, jack x, etc., I would probably just bet a bit bigger. Whereas when they're like sort of 4-4-3 and so on, I'd probably bet smaller more often. Sorry, what happened here with the ace 10? Did we 3-bet and take that down? Nice, yeah, okay. I can get behind that. 5-7 a bit too loose, as is the ace 3 UTG. Queen 8, a bit loose. However, we got 2 recreationals, so don't hate it. Although this guy's got 400 bigs and he's got a run it once tag, so he may not be a fish. So, don't know. However, Queen 8 is a little bit loose. If you have a reason for doing it, fine. Easy fold with the 8-6 off. We can defend the hand like 8-7 some of the time, but I think 8-6 is a bit rubbish. Easy fold with the king-jack off. Even with this guy's got very aggressive. Oh no, he's not. He's actually got a 14% PFR and a 3% 3-bet. Ooh, no, fold. That's a nit right there. That's someone to be scared of. Nearly done, guys. We've got about 4 minutes left on the video, and then we are finished. See if we can get anything interesting hands before we're done on this review. 10 and off, you could probably start opening if you've got, again, a bit more of a reason to. I would think you open this a very small amount at the time. If you've got a bunch of nits here, I mean, this is quite an aggressive big blind, so I'd probably just be folding. But you do have a nit in the cutoff and the small blind, but against a better big blind, I would probably be mostly folding. I apologize, I've taken the video off there. Whoops, my bad. I do apologize, sorry. I'm trying to find the hand. There we go. Folding the 4 deuce, and I think I'd be folding the king 4. I think hands like king 5, king 6 suited are decent 3-bets in the small blind. Blocking hands like king 5, pocket kings, ace king, blocking the 4-bets potentially, and also just the 6x also has better playability post flop, but I think the other ones are pretty trashy. Would be opening the a6 suited. I think that's a good one to open. Multi-way action on the diamond boards. With 2 diamond spade, king 9-8. I think I'd just be checking back a6 of hearts. Multi-way, blind on blind. You've got a bit of a nut advantage, but again, like overall, there's just so many hands that are going to be continuing. 5-6, 6-7, 8x, 9x, king x, queen 10. Loads of hands that are just going to continue. So I'd be checking this one back, I believe. Multi-way, I think we've got way better hands to be betting with. I think multi-way, you have to be a bit more respectful. Yeah, I think checking's fine. Again, because you're against 2 opponents, you do block 6-7, I suppose, but this hand's just probably checking down. Maybe I'd buff the river potentially. Or if you know these 2 guys are completely capped on the turn when they check, maybe I would just overbluff. Rep a straight, rep a flush. But again, you'd probably have better candidates to do it with than ace-6 of hearts. So I'd just be folding table 1. Table 2, this is actually quite relevant, is ace-3 offsuit is just way too wide to defend. So we just have, like, even at a very low frequency, you'd have a hands like, I don't know, ace-4, ace-5, ace-7, ace-8, things like that. You would open, that you would defend some of the time, or fold. I'm trying to think if they even might 3-bet some of the time. I think they just they defend some of the time or fold, maybe a small amount of 3-bet or fold, but they're just not good hands to defend with. Really, the ace-3 is just a bit wide. Against the cutoff, I would be folding this. Even against the button, I would probably just be folding. As played, yeah, I don't hate leading range here some of the time. We do have a massive advantage with some of the 4x, I suppose, so it's okay. But again, I wouldn't have defended this hand in the first place. We'd also have a gut shot directly. We block a hand like aces, which is good. We block 4-3 suited if he has that. Suppose we block ace-5 of hearts. But we do block a lot of folds with the ace-x. As played, if you're going to bet the flop, keep betting the turn and bet big. I would go large or overbet. Probably overbet, actually. I quite like overbet. But both are fine. If you bet the flop, you cannot check the turn. That's the only thing. I would keep going for it. I would just keep blasting. Potentially have to bluff the river as well, because this guy's going to have a lot of hands like 7s, 8s, 6s that might call the turn and then fold the river, and then we force him to have hands that are really good to be able to call the river. So as played, he shouldn't really be floating you with a hand like king queen or king jack or king 10. He could maybe have ace king, but you do technically block that. So I think he's going to have loads of hands like 10s, jacks, queens, 7s, 6s, 8s. So to pressure that range, you need to go big again. Yeah, I like it. I really like the size. Could have even potentially overbet again, but I think this size gets the job done, like 80% to overbet. Hopefully he folds. No, he jams, unlucky. Don't know what that is. That's 9s full, 5s full, quad 4s, aces. I don't know if aces actually jams there. Kings full, maybe. Probably just a good hand, unfortunate. King Queen, let's open this one up. Yeah, I like I swing this recreational. He also looks like a bit of a whaley recreational with 42-11 VIP PFR. VPIP PFR, sorry. Yeah, let's isolate him and open the King Queen also on table 2. Mr. Pepe is thinking about it. So against 3-bet here, you should just class this as a 3-bet, okay? Because it's been limp, open, and then 3-bet. Your hand, King Queen, can just not fold. So like I would just be continuing. I think I suppose mainly as a call and then sometimes a 4-bet. I suppose it depends how aggressive you want to be and how aggressive the player tendencies are or who you're against. I think I would never be folding this though. This is just a standard 3-bet. If anything, it's even more probably incentivized as a squeeze, just because it looks like you're going after this isolated money, this money. You're like trying to ISO it rather than just opening yourself. So I would never fold to this unless you have a really good reason. But I don't fault it, but I think you can make a lot of money. And also table 2 here, I think I would have just bet bigger. You're against a recreational, pot the flop, pot the turn, stick the rest in on the river. Get them all the money in. Tight fold, but I suppose I don't hate it if you have a reason for it. Otherwise, I probably would have defended in this particular spot, and that guy also had a 10% 3-bet. So. I like the fact that we're betting multiple streets, but again, it's just harder to get all the money in. If we bet 150 and he calls, it's hard to get like 2.5x pot or whatever on the river. So I would have just bet bigger, and then jam the river. Probably what we would have done. Easy fold, although ace jack suited is a nice hand. Let's open that one up. It's blackjack. And another blackjack, jack 10 suited, lovely. Actually, no, that's not blackjack. That's a suited 20, but whatever. We're not playing blackjack. Against 3-bet, yeah, I think we're mostly calling. I do believe you probably could do some 4-betting with ace-jack suited, I believe, against a really correct range. I think at 25 and L, I would mainly be calling. I think it just plays way better. This might even be a pure call, or very close to it. So, rather than a 4-bet. So, I think I would just defend here as a call. In these pools, it's just going to play very good as well. Something to note here, this guy's 154 hands, he's 24, 23, 13. So again, on the more aggressive side of the regular stream. So I'd probably be less cautious and a bit more happy about, getting a lot of money in with a couple of good hands. Boards like this, in a 3-bet pot, like this, if we want to, we can go ahead and raise or we can call. Both are probably fine. We can absolutely stack probably a player like this with like a worse jack or some kind of overs and a flush draw or something like that, or get value from some like ace queen of diamonds that might bet call 1. So we call, that's also okay, I suppose. We get to the turn, facing half pot with top against this. So if we were playing 2 and L, 5 and L, 10 and L, or I suppose any stake, but primarily the micros, and we were against like sort of 18 11s, like 17 10s, those type of players, when they 3-bet, bet the flop and then barrel these like mono turns, or sorry, these like flush completing turns, they will sometimes have like ace king ace queen with a spade in it, but that's about the worst part of their range, and then they'll have loads of really strong overpairs and then some flushes. Whereas like here against this type of correct range, like at least he looks like he's a bit more aggressive, you can't fold top, especially like against half pot. You must call against this type of player type. You can't consider folding against this player. I think call is the only option. I think raise is a disaster. I think calling is really good. Let's keep it. If he's bluffing, let's keep in his ace-10 off with a spade. Let's keep in like king-queen off with a spade. Let's keep in like king-jack, whether he bets that on the turn or not. If he's got a hand like queens, kings, aces, we've got some equity, haven't we? But I don't know if he bets those. We'll see. Even though it would be okay, I suppose, to do so. I guess we have an easy check now with the 4 spades. We just beat some worse hands. We just beat king-jack of clubs. So if he is trapping here, we avoid ourselves losing $15, and we don't get value from anything worse, and our hand is not good enough. Not bad enough to turn into a bluff. This is just a really nice, easy check. Oh, whoa, don't do it. If you're going to jam, you're trying to target a hand like pocket queens, pocket kings, pocket aces with no spade. You block aces. The guy just looks like he's either going to... I don't think population trap enough. I give you that. But I think this hand is just too good. If you had a hand like... I don't know. I suppose like... Maybe if you had a hand like 10 jack suited and you feel like the guy doesn't ever give up here, Like you feel like he's capped and doesn't trap and doesn't really bluff, and you think, you know what, I'm going to turn my hand into a bluff. Had you called the turn for some reason, maybe this is just I think this is a bad shove. Really, like genuinely, I think you're just going to cost yourself money. I think that all that's going to happen, like if you make a hand like queens, kings, aces fold, that is okay, but that's a very small part of his overall range. Unless you have specific reasons, like if you know that this guy's a death nit, right? And you decided to call the turn because you beat some ace X with a spade, for example, ace king, ace queen with a spade, whatever. And then when he checks the river, you know that he doesn't have traps and he's capped and he's really tight and he has like loads of like queens, kings, aces, for example. And you block jacks, I suppose that's also quite good with one combo now. Maybe you could like death like 15 head exploit jam as a bluff. I think here it's just a check back. I think checking back is the only option. Let's have a look. Do we get punished for it? I mean, you can still just have hands. You might just have like queens with a spade. You know, you may have just had like king, queen off with the queen of spades and not know whether to jam himself or check call. You don't really know. Like some people do weird things, and then you got people who do trap as well. So this is just too good of a hand to turn into a bluff. He's tanking. That's a bad sign. Well, we get the fold, but the way he tanks and folded, I think you did actually make a better hand fold, so props to you. But if you were targeting it and you put him on that, fine. But I think, genuinely, I think we probably just have a good hand that we just want to check back most of the time. Just keeps life easy. It's a very interesting spot indeed, but I think I'd probably just be checking back there most of the time with a hand like as good as ace jack. And we would just expect to win there some of the time and not lose money when we're being trapped or get called by like king queen with the queen of spades, for example, or ace 10 off with the 10 of spades, something like that. Anyway, very, very well done, Mr. Hooli. You've done a good job here. There's a couple of points to note. I think overall you've done pretty damn well though, and this is a pretty difficult pull by the look of it, so props to you and good job. Anyone who's watching at home has enjoyed the content, please like, please comment, please subscribe. Check out the Discord channel, check out the Twitch stream link, join the Discord, all the details and the usual jazz in the bottom. As always, there's a 10% link for your first time buying GTA Wizard. I will see you guys in the next one.